I don't really know how to begin this. Maybe by saying I wish I had never agreed to go there. It all started when a friend told me about a forest near his hometown. According to the locals, no one dares to enter it after dark. Too many people had vanished among those trees, leaving behind only silence and rumors. They say that if you stand still long enough, you'll hear footsteps behind you, matching your own. I never believed in those kinds of stories. To me, they were nothing more than campfire tales meant to scare children. But that night, that damned night, I decided to test it for myself. I arrived at the edge of the forest with a flashlight and a small recorder. My plan was simple: spend a few hours exploring, then go back home with something to laugh about. But the moment I stepped in, I knew something was wrong. The air was heavy, wet, almost suffocating. And the silence, it was unnatural. No crickets, no owls, not even the faint rustling of small animals. The only sound was the crunch of dead leaves beneath my boots. I switched on my recorder and whispered, "0 hour. I'm in the middle of the forest. Everything's too quiet." Then I heard it. Not an animal, not the wind. A footstep, slow, heavy, and the worst part, it matched the rhythm of mine. I stopped, and so did it. A shiver crawled up my spine, but I forced myself to smirk, convincing myself it was nothing but nerves. I kept walking. The sound came again. This time, it wasn't just footsteps. There was a voice, a whisper, soft, broken, calling my name. "David." I froze. My flashlight shook in my hand as I turned in every direction. Nothing but endless trees and fog staring back at me. I pressed forward, walking faster, until something caught my boot and sent me stumbling to the ground. When I shone the light downward, I saw it, an old lantern. Rusted, but somehow still burning with a weak, trembling flame. What unsettled me most wasn't that it was still lit, but that it was warm, as if someone had just placed it there. I reached down to pick it up, and that's when I saw it. At the end of the path, half swallowed by the fog, stood a figure. Tall, unnaturally thin. Its arms dangled like dead branches, too long, too distorted, and its eyes, two glowing yellow lights that cut through the mist and locked onto me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Time stretched into something unreal. Maybe seconds passed, maybe minutes, but the figure just stood there watching me. I blinked, and in that single instant, it was closer. My survival instincts kicked in. I ran. I didn't dare look back, though I could feel it following. My frantic steps crashed through the undergrowth, but behind me, only slow, deliberate footsteps, as if it didn't need to rush, as if it knew I couldn't escape. At last, I stumbled into a tree and fell to my knees. I lifted the lantern with trembling hands, and that's when I realized it wasn't alone. There was another figure, smaller, hidden in the mist, and I swear it was smiling. I wanted to scream, but the sound stuck in my throat. My chest rose and fell in short, shallow bursts as the fog seemed to thicken, wrapping itself around me like cold hands. That smaller figure in the distance didn't move. It only stood there, half hidden behind the trees, head tilted as if curious or mocking. And still, the taller one remained closer now, its glowing eyes fixed on me. I staggered back, gripping the lantern like it could somehow protect me. My flashlight flickered violently, as if reacting to their presence. The light fought against the darkness, but the shadows seemed alive, slithering closer no matter what I did. Then something changed. The forest began to hum, low, almost inaudible at first. A vibration in the air, deep enough to rattle inside my ribs. I thought it was my imagination, until I noticed the trees. Their bark seemed to pulse, their branches shivering though there was no wind. Symbols, scratched into the wood, began to glow faintly, as if lit from beneath the skin of the forest itself. The whisper returned, this time louder. "David," drawn out, crawling into my ears like smoke. But it wasn't coming from the tall figure anymore. It was everywhere. I spun around in panic, searching for an exit, but every path looked the same, swallowed in mist. The forest shifted, twisting into a labyrinth I didn't recognize. And then, footsteps. Not one pair, dozens, all around me. I broke into a run, desperate, clinging to the weak flame of the lantern as though it was the only real thing left. My breath tore at my throat, my legs screamed in pain, but I didn't dare stop. Branches scraped my arms, tearing skin, leaving trails of warmth that cooled instantly in the freezing air. My thoughts blurred between fight and surrender, between escape and collapse. And always me, those footsteps, slow, calm, unhurried. At one point, I tripped again and rolled into a shallow ditch. My lantern nearly went out, but I shielded it with my hand. That's when I noticed something new. Voices. Children. Laughter. Soft, broken, echoing. Not playful, but cruel. The sound of children who had been silenced long ago, yet still lingered, mocking the living. Shapes emerged in the fog. Smaller figures. Thin, distorted shadows, crawling on all fours, giggling as they circled me. Their eyes glowed faintly too, but dimmer than the tall ones. I pressed my back against the dirt wall of the ditch, whispering, "This isn't real. This isn't real." One of them leaned closer, its face inches from mine. I wish I could say I didn't see it clearly, but I did. Its skin was pale, stretched too tightly across its skull. Its mouth opened wider than it should have, a grotesque grin splitting its face in half. And then it whispered, not in my name this time, but in a language I couldn't recognize. The words rattled through my skull, filling me with dread so heavy I thought I might suffocate. I pushed myself up, scrambling desperately out of the ditch, and ran again. My lungs burned, my legs trembled. But for a fleeting second, I thought I saw a faint light ahead, a way out. I sprinted toward it, clutching the lantern to my chest. But the light wasn't an exit. It was another lantern, identical to the one I carried. And right beside it, two glowing yellow eyes, waiting. I froze. The forest held its breath, as if it knew the decision I was about to make. Two lanterns, two paths. And those eyes, burning, patient, unblinking. My instinct screamed at me to run, but run where? Every direction looked the same, every tree carved with those strange, glowing marks. The fog pressed closer, and in it I saw faces, dozens of them, pale and hollow, watching from the mist. I backed away slowly, holding the lantern in front of me. Its flame trembled, as if afraid too. Then, snap! A branch broke just behind me. I spun around. The tall figure was no longer at a distance. It stood only a few feet away now, towering over me, its limbs dragging, fingers curling into claws that seemed too long, too sharp. Its eyes pierced me, and for the first time, it moved. One step, slow, measured. The ground shook as if rejecting its weight. I stumbled backward, clutching the lantern, whispering, "Please, please no." But it didn't stop. The air grew colder with each step. My breath turned to mist. My heart hammered so violently I thought it might burst. And then I realized something horrifying. It wasn't chasing me. It was hurting me. Every time I tried to turn away, smaller shadows closed in. Those crawling, laughing figures, their giggles sharper now, like glass breaking inside my skull. They drove me forward, toward the second lantern, toward the eyes that never blinked. I wanted to throw mine to the ground, smash it, anything to break the nightmare. But the moment I loosened my grip, the shadows screamed, a guttural, inhuman chorus that shook the trees. I tightened my hold again, and they went silent. I understood then. The lantern wasn't protection. It was a tether. It marked me as theirs. I ran anyway. Blind panic carried me, though the forest twisted, pulling me deeper instead of out. My legs failed, my chest burned, and when I collapsed, the lantern slipped from my hands. The flame went out. Silence. The forest stilled. Even the shadows stopped moving. And then, darkness parted. The tall figure leaned down, its face now inches from mine. It had no mouth, no features at all except for those eyes. Yet I felt it smiling. My body refused to move, paralyzed as its shadow spilled over me, heavier than stone. Its fingers brushed against my chest, and suddenly, I wasn't in my body anymore. I saw flashes, people wandering these woods, children crying, men and women screaming, each of them holding a lantern before the flame died, before they became shadows themselves. That's when I understood. This forest doesn't kill you, it keeps you. The last thing I remember is being dragged into the fog, countless hands pulling me down. My voice joined theirs, laughing, whispering, calling out to the next fool who dares to enter. So if you ever find yourself here, and you see a lantern burning alone on the ground, don't pick it up.